Hi there, friend. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Grab a cup of something warm and get comfy. This story is for everyone, whether you're small, tall, young, or simply young at heart. We're about to visit a town where the air smells like sweet herbs, and even your feelings come in tiny glass bottles. Let's begin, shall we? Tucked into a bend of the sleepy hills was the quiet town of Nettlebrook. It was the kind of place where laundry fluttered like flags between stone cottages, where bees hummed politely through flower beds, and where old cats snoozed beneath porches like they had all the time in the world. And maybe they did. On the very end of Lavender Street stood a little shop with moss on the roof and hand-painted signs in the window. The doorbell tinkled like wind chimes when you opened it, and the whole place smelled of honey, old wood, and a hint of mint. The sign above the door read, Marjorie Bell's Bottled Emotions, Est, 1863. Marjorie Bell herself was as soft and sweet as the marshmallows she kept in a jar by the register. Her gray hair was always tied up with a velvet ribbon, and she wore cardigans that smelled like rosewater. Marjorie wasn't just the shopkeeper, she was the town's emotional alchemist. She bottled feelings. Joy, courage, calm, even giggles. People came from all over to buy her little bottles. A pale blue one might bring a peaceful night's sleep. A gold one, just a teaspoonful, could warm your heart like a sunny afternoon. And a silvery one, if you breathed it in slowly, could hush a noisy mind. But Marjorie wasn't the main character in this story. That would be Pip, her apprentice. Pip was 17 and full of curiosity. They had wide eyes, freckles like powdered cinnamon, and a voice that always carried kindness in it, even when they were tired. Pip had found the shop when they were just a lonely kid with a heavy heart. Marjorie had given them a bottle of lightness soft pink with a shimmer inside. It made Pip feel like they could float. They never really left after that. So now, Pip helped stir and pour and label the bottles. They swept the floor, listened to people's stories, and even made a few of their own blends under Marjorie's watchful eye. Outside the shop, the world was changing. The bottled emotion trade was regulated by the government now, and big companies made mass-produced feelings that felt thin, synthetic. But in Nettlebrook, Marjorie's shop stayed the same. Soft music, slow mornings, and the quiet magic of bottled wonder. One rainy afternoon, a customer arrived who would change everything. The rain came down gently that afternoon, soft as whispers on the cobblestones. Inside the shop, it smelled of cedar and warm clove tea. Pip was labeling a batch of gentle bravery, a pale orange potion that made you feel like facing the world wasn't so hard after all. That's when the door opened, and a gust of cool air followed someone in. She was maybe Pip's age, but everything about her felt quiet. Her boots were muddy, her hair damp and tangled. In her hands she held a clear glass jar, the kind they used for refills, but this one was bone dry. She walked slowly to the counter and spoke in a voice that barely reached above the crackle of the fire. "Do you have anything for forgetting?" Marjorie looked up from her ledger, her expression soft but serious. "Not forgetting, my dear," she said kindly. "But we might have something to help you carry it better." The girl nodded and held out the empty jar like an offering. Her eyes looked far away, like someone who had stood in the rain for too long. Pip stepped forward. "How about something for warmth? Or grounding?" Pip asked gently. "Or comfort that lingers? Like the feeling of holding someone's hand?" The girl looked at Pip, and her eyes filled not with tears. Exactly, but something mistier. "I don't want to feel too much," she said. "But I don't want to feel nothing either." Marjorie smiled. "A middle path, then." She motioned Pip to the back room. Together, they made something special. Pip chose warm nutmeg and clary sage, and a tiny drop of Memorione that smelled like freshly baked bread and felt like a hug from someone you missed. Marjorie added bluebell essence and a feather-light trace of hope. They labeled the bottle Steady Heart. When Pip handed it to the girl, her fingers brushed theirs. Just for a second, and she smiled inly a little, but it was real. "I'll come back," she said, as she left with the tiny bottle tucked into her coat. Pip stood at the window, watching her vanish into the rainy street. The sky had started to clear, just a little, and the garden behind the shop sparkled with drops like scattered stars. Sometimes, Pip thought, it wasn't about fixing anything, just about helping someone breathe a little easier, and that, maybe, was enough. The weeks that followed were gentle ones. The girl whose name turned out to be Wren came back. Not every day, but often enough that Pip started saving a seat for her near the fireplace, where the armchair was worn in all the best ways. Wren brought wildflowers once, tied in string. Another time, she gave Pip a smooth river stone with a streak of purple through it. "For your pocket," she said, "in case you ever feel unsteady." They talked about little things. Cloud shapes, favorite teas, songs that made you cry in a good way. Wren didn't say much about what had brought her to the shop that day, and Pip never asked. Some bottles were still too full to open, but they created together. Pip showed Wren how to bottle gentle anticipation, that feeling before a cozy snowfall or the night before a birthday. They made a new blend called Soft Laughter, and one that smelled like lavender and felt like the first day you don't hurt anymore. Marjorie watched them quietly, always smiling, always with warm biscuits ready. Spring crept into Nettlebrook like a cat, slow and content. Daffodils nodded at windowsills. The breeze carried birdsong and the scent of mossy earth. And in the little shop at the edge of Lavender Street, the shelves gleamed with light, color, and comfort. One golden morning, Wren took Pip's hand and said, "I think I'm ready for something new." Pip tilted their head. "Something like delight?" Wren smiled, wider than ever. "Yes, or maybe wonder." They made it together, pale green with soft sparkles and a scent like fresh-cut grass. They called it Open Skies. It wasn't bottled for sale. They poured it into 2 tiny glasses and sipped it on the garden bench, watching the petals fall like pink snow around them. Wren leaned against Pip's shoulder, and the world felt easy for a while. And so, dear friend, that's our story. Thank you for joining us. I hope you felt a little lighter, a little softer, and a little more held in this world of bottled feelings and warm-hearted people. If you liked this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back soon. There's always more magic waiting here, just enough to carry. Take care of your heart. It's more precious than any bottle. Until next time.